A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Is AutoGlym Ultra High Definition Wax the best paste wax ever to grace our planet? Is it the best paste wax in the history of mankind? That's a hell of a big statement, isn't it? The answer is it's going to depend who you ask, really. But for me, this wax, even if it's not the best paste wax of all time, it would be in the discussion. It would be in my favourite iconic top 10 waxes. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, first of all, it comes in a good pot, a bespoke pot that I'm trying to open with one hand. When you get this wax brand new, it's like an ice rink, the actual wax itself, which is important if you're a wax maker. The opposite of that is you open up your tin of wax and it's all like cracked and there's bits of wax separating from it, or it's got a big divot in the middle where hot molten wax, dissolved wax cools, it shrinks and you get this big divot. So a good wax maker might pour in half of the wax first, let that cool and solidify, and then it's called a staggered pour, and then stagger the rest in later on so you don't get a big divot in the wax. So a sign of good wax is always that ice rink finish, and you get that with the AutoGlym product. And it's not a boutique wax, is it? It's a large scale wax from a large manufacturer. The second thing is it comes with its own bespoke applicator in a lovely frosted package and that's all part of the appeal, but it's not essentially that important. But a nice applicator is good and it fits in there and it's all good quality and all that sort of stuff. The next thing for me, perhaps with a wax that's really desirable, is when you spread the wax over the panel. And we'll do this while we talk just to make it a little bit more interesting. This is high drama stuff. I don't have the AutoGlym applicator anymore. I don't know what happened to it. I lost it. I don't know if you can buy them separately. But anyway, you get your applicator in there. I can't, because I've only got one hand doing this. I've got to be a little bit, whatever, you know. And that applicator is a little bit damp. When you put this wax over the panel, you don't want it to be sticky, really. You want it to just go on kind of thin. And you just want a thin layer of wax that's relatively easy to spread. It's my zipper hitting the paintwork. Someone's going to go mad. Rightly so. So you just want it easy to spread. And this wax is pretty easy to spread. It's not as oily as some other waxes. Some waxes are a bit easier to spread. But generally speaking, this wax will go onto a car, no problem. But the important thing is when the wax dries, or when the wax cures, let's use the word cure, what happens to it? With this AutoGlym product, this wax layer here that you can see dries to like a soft, crusty meringue. And then when you buff it, you remove that crust, and below the crust is just the wax which is stuck to the surface. So you should just be able to swipe over that cured wax and have a really nice glossy finish. A poorly formulated wax that's got too much oil in it, or too much, it might not be oil, but too much carrier, it might be a synthetic carrier oil or something. If there's too much of it, you can go over and wipe the wax and it hasn't fully cured and you don't get the dry crust, and you can get a greasy buffer trail, and that's something you can experience on a wax which isn't well formulated. So AutoGlym, I think, know about all of that sort of stuff and know how to formulate a paste wax. They also have a good solvent system in it that, you know, so that solvent, as it vapes out reasonably rapidly, where's my camera going? It will give you that soft crust. What doesn't it do? Because we'll talk about all of those sorts of things. It's not a low aromatic solvent. So the AutoGlym product does have that musky hydrocarbon kind of aromatic solvent scent to it, which is a classic kind of smell with AutoGlym. It smells the same as super resin polish and extra gloss protection. It doesn't really bother me, but you do notice it. Some waxes are odourless and use odourless versions of kerosene or low aromatic hydrocarbon solvents. Why's that just suddenly turned itself on? What the hell's going on here? It's the ghost of AutoGlym sending me a message. So, yeah. But we're just talking about the constitution of the wax at the moment. Once that wax is cured and you've buffed on it, I think it's possibly quite important nowadays to have a wax which has good hydrophobic performance. This wax here is as beady as any of them. In fact, do you need me to demo it and spray water on it? You don't. It beads like crazy. It's a really hydrophobic wax, and that's an improvement that they made with this ultra high definition wax over their previous high definition wax, which had that same nice soft feel to it, but wasn't quite as hydrophobic. Okay, how do they do that? I'm not sure. It's interesting. You know, it's interesting. I'd love to know how what's in that wax as a wax maker. Is there a little bit more paraffin wax dissolved in there to increase the hydrophobicity, or is it purely done through other synthetic additives? I don't know. I'd really love to know that. Now, we'd normally leave this a little bit longer, okay, but just for the purposes of the video, I'll just show you that it's probably hardened enough that if I just put the cloth down on this and just up and down, it's a gentle swipe off to get you your final finish. And I'm tapping my zip on the paintwork. Just change position. So you can see a bit of the wax there. It's just a gentle experience. This car's not been cleaned, so I just did a waterless wash on this bit, so I don't want to go buffing over the whole panel. So you haven't got to sit there, even if I'd let this cure for 5 minutes, indeed, even if I'd let it cure overnight. When I come down to buff this, can you see the residues? You can probably just about see the residues. It's an easy buff. It's a light buff, and that is part, for a wax to be even considered in that top 10 or those high echelons, it's got to have a good buff on it. Well, actually, that's not completely true, because there are some compromises. Like, for example, I'm just thinking of the Fuso wax. The Fuso wax is a harder buff, but it would still be an iconic top 10 wax, wouldn't it? It'd be in anyone's discussion. Some people would put it as number one, some might lower or whatever, but it would be in the discussion, and that's not the best buffing wax out there. But the buff on this wax is beautiful. So you can even see the panels looking glossy. So the thing with the AutoGlym high definition is that the show wax type guys are going to love this wax because it's going to give you a really good finish. The previous video we did on it, where we were comparing finishing data, it had an exceptional level of improvement on the panel, and you could even see it with your eyeballs. It had a really good filling effect on this panel here. You can see it. There it is there. You can see the darkness of it. Don't worry about that white line. That's just where the tape was. Really good gloss data. Really easy to use. Ticks the category of a show wax, even though in theory it's not a show wax. But the thing with this is the protection that it puts down is also, it's decent, okay? AutoGlym will I think they say it's a 6-month wax. I'm not sure if it will get you to 6 months, but it should get you more than 3 months. If you're, you know, not doing anything stupid, it should give you a good 3 months of protection, but it's a product you can put on whenever you like, really. You know, you could wash your car, put another fresh coat of wax on it, wash it in a month's time, put another fresh coat of wax on it. The point is you should enjoy using this, and I think this product as a paste wax does absolutely everything. The application, the user experience, top drawer, top class. The buff on it, top class. The hydrophobic performance, the gloss, top class. We do criticise stuff on this channel, so we can criticise this wax. It's expensive. If you go in, relatively expensive in my opinion, if you go into Halfords and you're just Joe Bloggs looking for a paste wax, you're going to see like Ferrecla, is it G3 paste wax? You're going to see Maguire's Gold Class or Ultimate Paste Wax, whatever it's called now. You're going to see the Turtle Wax products. They're all going to be cheaper than this. This is expensive for a relatively small amount of wax compared to some. I'd always have some of this. If I used all of this up, I'd want a pot of wax. And if anyone asked me the question, John, you can only ever have one paste wax, what would it be? I would have to shortlist about 5 or 6. And this would be on that short list. as one of the ones that I'd consider, and maybe even thinking about it, it would probably be one of my favourite waxes, if not my favourite. Very hard to say, I'll always want more than one. Very good. There are waxes which last longer than it, undoubtedly. Not many, but a few that will outbeat it on durability, and there are waxes which will do that and cost a fraction of the price as well. They just are, but this is one of the best paste waxes, in my opinion, that you will ever get your hands on. Yeah, really good. They know what they're doing when it comes to paste waxes, AutoGlym. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because we've gone into this era of so many new types of products and high-tech stuff for your car. But really, the reality is if you put something like this down on your paintwork, it's going to be protected. It's going to be hydrophobic. And it's still nice to use. It's still satisfying when you buff that back and you see that kind of shine as you buff it, and it works, and you're not fighting the product. When you get that, then you're going to love it. So yeah, AutoGlym ultra high definition wax is definitely in the discussion. This isn't a short list here either of my top 10 waxes. I'll just tell you now, if I had a short list of my top 10 waxes, then 4 of these products here might make that top 10. 4 of them would be worth honourable mentions. 3 of them would maybe be worth honourable mentions, and you might argue should be in the top 10. But yeah, that comes just down to completely just down to personal opinion of what you're looking for in a product. We will do that video. To do that video, I've got to go and buy 3 very expensive waxes and 2 not so expensive ones to make my top 10. I already know what they are. Possibly. We'll have to do that. It's going to cost me a lot of money, that video. It's going to cost me a fortune. I ain't going to get the money back on that. Not unless we go viral. I'll have to get some like lap dancers in or something to put on the thumbnail, see if I can make it go viral. Get, you know, wax and then get the, oh no, don't go there, John. The old mime was getting excited. There we go. So this video is really a bit of a homage to one of my favourite paste waxes, which is AutoGlym Ultra High Definition Wax. I have to mention a couple of things actually that you may or may not find interesting. I have, from about 10 years ago when I went over to the AutoGlym, tucked away now, I have the last box of the original high definition wax after it kind of stopped going on sale. And somewhere, I think I might have mentioned this before. Look at this. You like this? Look at this. This is from AutoGlym. And what is this? Hold on, I'm just opening it up. That is a pre-release sample of AutoGlym. Yeah, I can recognise the smell of AutoGlym ultra high definition wax. So I got a chance to just use it and feed back to AutoGlym what I thought. And when I used it, when I had this little tiny thing here, and I used it, I thought, wow, it's really soft, it's really beady, much more. I had less expertise back then. Well, I don't know if I've got expertise now, but I just thought, wow, yeah, it's really beady, this wax, compared to the other one. That's great. And that was it. But it was really soft. It was almost like a little tub of moisturiser. And I didn't know what it would be like when it went on sale, and it's absolutely fine. You can see there that this is one I've had for years, like 4 or 5 years. In the summer, when it gets really hot, that does get a little bit close to like a dissolved state on the top. Same with some of these other ones, they can get a bit melty in the summer. So if you're a real wax aficionado, a little cooler, like a little beer cooler fridge to put your waxes in, I thought about getting one of those. Would be really, really cool. I might, well, literally and metaphorically, I might do that one day actually, but it will take up a lot of space, won't it, in your garage? But a little tiny little fridge just to keep my top 10 waxes. Look, I've got, that's one of my waxes that I made many years ago, and that wax is hydrophobic And it hasn't gone off as well, which is really interesting in the tin. So look at that wax, it's a good consistency. So I could have had a go, I should have, well, I could have sold that. But I don't know, anyway, I don't know. And this is using low aromatics, so you don't get quite a strong, stronger thing. Another thing I didn't mention with the AutoGlym wax, you can see this is yellow, yeah? That's yellow because I'm using standard T1 carnauba. AutoGlym use refined carnauba. So if you bleach it, basically, it loses the yellowness and goes white, and that's more expensive. And I could never find that because I always wanted to get white carnauba. I could never find it. I should have asked them, where the hell did you get that? They'd have known that I would have wanted it though. So they use white bleached carnauba that used to get called, it used to be called like ivory carnauba or something, like it was something rare, but it's just bleach, but it is more expensive. And again, if you're trying to do the very best, like that pure white wax that's using carnauba, again, is just that little step of quality. So it's that extra step and removal of that impurity. Yeah, so everything about ultra high definition wax is class. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And part of this addiction to wax making was something that I found really, really enjoyable and exciting when I first kind of got into detailing. And part of my personality, unfortunately, is when I get into something is I want to know. I don't just want to know about it. I want to know how to make one. I want to explore it myself. I spent years messing around with these waxes. And it's just part of life that's really enjoyable. That, you know, exploring something like that, locking onto it, obsessing over it till you really understand it and you can make one yourself. And that's kind of quite cool. So yeah, I think without blowing my own trumpet too much, I know a good paste wax when I see one. That's as good as it gets. We're going to end it here. Thanks for watching. What's your favourite? Put your top 3 favourite paste waxes in the comments of this video. And don't forget to subscribe. Doug.